Screen Slurps.
Hello and welcome to Screen Slurps, the movie review podcast where we discuss everything that is good, that is bad, and that is savage in the world of cinema. I'm Adam Meisner.
And I'm Dash Gearhart, also known as DJ, and I just gotta say, Adam, look out behind you.
Oh my
Adam,
gosh!
it's
What?
a twisty.
There's something going on.
It's a twisty. Come on inside, please.
I just got notified that I'm picked up by Twister and I'm being recorded.
You are. Wanted to tell you that so that way we can have some good old pixies, you know, to look back in these memories of recording this podcast of this terrible movie, which I don't even know what the title is, man. I don't even know. Is it Christmas Twister or is it F6 Twister?
Open the door! Open the
But
door!
nobody-
I'm gonna get taken.
Do people even talk about Christmas? I saw one nativity set. That was about it. One baby Jesus. I think that was the only thing it had to do with Christmas.
I think I looked at the house of Jesus and it looked okay, so I just walked back to my truck and went to school.
Oh, great. They left the church. Goody. Well, folks, if you haven't guessed it already, I just banged my neck. Mike, if you haven't guessed it already, we are reviewing the made-for-TV movie Christmas Twister, also known as
what it was? It was just made for TV? Okay.
It was a made-for-TV Twister, which also is not really a thing today.
It was a made-for-TV Twister. I like how you phrased that.
That's what the description says about it. It's also known as F6 Twister.
Don't even call it a film anymore. It's just a Twister. The whole thing's it's a Twister of a film, a Twister. The whole concept might as well be classified as a Twister anymore.
It's a mess. But before we get into that, we're doing our side slurps. That's right. This is the time of the show where we talk about some of the things we've been watching, playing, and/or reading, or making this past week besides watching a big Christmas Twister. So, Adam, what have you been side slurping this week?
All right. Well, since you got me into watching anime these days, growing up, I wasn't quite put into the Dragon Ball land or anything like that. I still haven't quite made it that far, but listen, I've been watching Assassination Classroom. This TV show is fantastic, and I'm watching it with the dub because I'm silly like that. And the show is hilarious with the dub. And the classroom's teacher, the Koro Sensei, the unkillable teacher, as it's translated to, he's hysterical. And the irony of it all is that the whole point of the classroom is all these kids, their assignment really is that they're supposed to assassinate their teacher. The Japanese FBI, as I would like to call it, they're basically wanting these students to assassinate their teacher. Otherwise, their teacher is going to destroy the entire Earth by the end of their school year. And even the teacher's behind it all, too. I mean, the teacher agrees with all that. It's basically, if you can assassinate me, then great. And if you can't, then I'm going to destroy your world. So the kids are all trying their best. He's practically impossible to destroy, but he's very enthusiastic about the whole thing. So if you haven't seen the show Assassination Classroom yet, I highly recommend it. It's very well done. All of the characters in the show are likable. And I almost can't even believe I'm saying that because I really can't believe the show is that likable as a show. I can hardly even believe I've seen a cartoon where I can get behind all of the characters, the main characters, the supporting characters as much as I do. Every single one of those characters has a personality where you watch the show and you're thinking, wow, each one of these characters is dramatically different from one another, drastically different from one another in a very good way. And you can really tell each one apart. And even though it's a different show, I can very much understand why you can say that you like shows like Dragon Ball or other shows like that in the anime universe now. From my lack of experience in watching so many animes now, after watching Assassination Classroom, I can kind of say that I understand, wow, this is something I can really get behind. This is really good.
Shonen. I wonder if it's like, because there's anime, but there's also like the shonen genre in itself, which would include Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, My Hero Academia. I wonder if that's I wonder if that show would be included in shonen. I'll have to check it out. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. It was really good. I also started watching on a totally different ballpark of a type of film it is, or a type of television show, I should say. I started watching the show The Boys on Amazon Prime, and that is a very different show. But I guess you can find similarities in it. But The Boys is basically, to sum it up very simply, there's superheroes in the world, if you want to imagine like the Marvel Universe, except the superheroes in the world of The Boys, the superheroes are all basically assholes, except they're putting on a facade that they're all great people and they're all saving the world and they're all taking care of people. So they're all, acting like I stopped these bank robbers from robbing a bank and I stopped these people from doing this crime. I mean, they are helping, police officers and things like that. But at the same time, it's also kind of a facade for marketing and making money for, big government and things like that. So that's sort of the illusion of the pilot, is it's kind of like they're hurting a lot of other people. So they might actually, kill someone on accident, but, they're not actually going to arrest a superhero for that. Like, superheroes aren't going to get in trouble for that because they're superheroes. So that's kind of the thing. So even if superheroes were doing drugs or doing, back end drug deals or things like that, none of them are ever going to get in trouble because they're superheroes, essentially. So
It reminds me a little bit of Watchmen.
Yeah, so I really just started getting into The Boys. I actually just watched the pilot, and it is very, very catchy and very good. I do enjoy it. Other than that...
Carl Urban's in it, right?
Yeah, I think so. Very interesting. Very interesting. Other than that, I watched the classic stop-motion animated film Mary and Max. My girlfriend has not seen Mary and Max, so I suggested she check it out. And the movie is based on a true story, and I will just say it is very depressing. It is a much more depressing stop-motion animated film than a lot of other animated films, but it is based on a true story. And Mary basically starts off as an 8-year-old girl in Australia. She has basically no friends. She's pretty lonely, and out of the blue one day she's at the post office and she's just kind of looking in books of contacts and things like that, and she randomly picks out this guy's name out of an American book and decides, you know what, I'm gonna write to this guy and just see who he is. And she writes a letter to this random dude in New York City named Max Horowitz, and he actually writes her back this elaborate letter from New York City. He's this 44-year-old man in New York City, and they begin this big, lasting relationship as pen pals. And that starts to develop into something much more serious, not necessarily romantic, but just a very serious friendship through the mail. And I won't get too deep into that, but I will just say definitely check out the film. Very cool. And I highly recommend that. And that's pretty much what I've been up to. That's really been my past week. But what about you, DJ? Did you have any crazy things happen? Any crazy parties?
Nah, man. My life, low key. Not like the new show that's on Disney. LOWKEY. The things I've been slurping this past week would be more My Hero Academia. I love that show. I love it so much.
Anime all the way.
It is so good, man. Like, it's this perfect blend of like shonen anime, but it's inverted because it's also like combined with ideas of like the MCU and X-Men, kind of like The Boys, where, it's a world of people with powers. And unlike where you have kind of heroes either like in a secret identity or heroes who are just like running amok, having a power in this world of My Hero Academia, in which it takes place in an alternate Japan, they've adjusted it to the society where you can go to school to learn how to be a hero and to learn how to be a pro hero, or they just call it a pro. And a pro hero is somebody who works for the government, who gets compensated, and you're not a police officer, you're just someone who helps out people with they call it quirks in this story. Your power. If you help them with your quirk, and you go to these schools kind of like Hogwarts and Harry Potter. Also, there's a big element of like Harry Potter going to school to learn how to use amazing powers. You learn how to do that, and it's almost like fighting evil is almost secondary, like fighting villains is almost secondary to competing with each other, which is basically like all these different reasons, motivations of why they go to learn how to be a pro hero, which can be anything from, I want to be the best hero that ever was, I want to save people, like that goal. Or it could be something like, my family's poor, so I'm going to, learn how to be a pro hero so I can get a lot of money so I can support them. Or it could be like, the other reason be like, oh, I hate my dad, so I'm doing it to prove my dad wrong, that I'm nothing like him, and anything that I inherited from him, it's not his anymore, it's mine, so I'm gonna make my own path. So you have all these like very unique characters in this, and you have like this very, very relatable, at least for me, and it's not because he has crazy hair, very relatable protagonist named Izuku Midoriya, also known as his hero name, which is Deku. This character is so relatable, and watching his journey is so exciting and rewarding. And on top of that, you also have lots of comedy, lots of funny stuff, which I really enjoy. Also, the music in it is fantastic. It is such good music. So please, everybody, go ahead, check out My Hero Academia. It's on Funimation, and it is also on Hulu. And I believe at least the sub is on the Japanese version, which would be subtitles, the sub, which would be on Crunchyroll. I personally am watching it on Funimation. I'm watching the dub. For me, I like listening to, voice actors that I follow on Twitter and stuff, do stuff. Speaking of that, I've also been watching Demon Slayer, which has a few voice actors on that from Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is really cool to hear them in this show. Demon Slayer, I saw the movie. Go. What's that?
So you never let that go.
Never let it go, man. Never let go.
I never let you go.
Demon Slayer is really cool. From what I've seen, I haven't seen near as much of that compared to My Hero Academia, but it still has that sprinkle of humor and stuff, but it's not as funny as My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia, it's almost kind of like, it's like the way, kind of like the way the MCU merges like comedy. It's not the same kind of comedy, but like it's like the same ratio between like very serious, like story with stakes and stuff, but also, funny stuff, hilarious stuff, jokes and stuff. So Demon Slayer, less comedy, at least from what I've seen, but the thing is, it is very beautiful. It's such beautiful animation. I really enjoy it. It reminds me more of like a classic samurai tale, but the thing is, when I know they're fighting these demons, which are very reminiscent of zombies in it. So it's you have like this very supernatural element as well. So I am enjoying it. Like I said, it has a few voice actors in it that I really enjoy. I know Abby Trott's in it. She was in that in Fire Emblem Three Houses. Also, the guy who played Sedith is in it from Fire Emblem Three Houses. Also, the guy who played Felix is in it. I need to know their names. I think I do follow both of them on Twitter, though. I follow all those cats on Twitter.
Go back and stalk them.
They're all great. They all seem like great people. Like great group of, I feel like friends, a great group of friends. Anyway, I've been checking out Demon Slayer. Also, I've been really dedicating myself to reading Dune. I know I picked it up like last year and I put it down. I gotta tell you, man, the first several hundred pages are a slog. It's really kind of boring to get into it. But once you get into it, though, once you get the flow, once the spice starts to flow, it's exciting. It's spice. It's like, okay, now I'm in, and I'm in it to win. I really want to read all of them, all of the 6 Chronicles anyway. So I recently picked up all 6 of those books. So right now on my shelf near me in my room, I have Dune, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, Dune, Heretics of Dune, and Chapter House Dune. And I've been like learning some things about it, and it's so, and this is a little bit like a teeny tiny spoiler for Dune, so heads up. It's so fascinating to me that these books, this main story that starts with Paul Atreides, spans over 5,000 years.
Oof.
Like, 5,000 years. That is crazy to me. And the thing is, this also takes place in our future, like about from when I keep hearing, because where reading Dune hasn't really necessarily said exactly where it is in the future, but I keep hearing that it's either 20,000 years or 10,000 years in our future. Either way, that's a really long time from now, whether it's 10 or 20,000 years. So it does take place in our future, thousands of years in the future. And then it takes place even further along that. I'm really excited to take this mental journey. And the first book, after that, first few hundred pages of that slog, it almost kind of turns into like this like action movie, which is really cool. It's almost kind of like this almost kind of like A New Hope, Star Wars A New Hope, or also kind of like the first season of Game of Thrones, kind of like a whodunit, or who's plotting against me, this like political intrigue of like, is there a conspiracy against us? Like, you have a lot of that, which is really cool. So it makes me even more excited for that movie, which you and I definitely have to go see together when Dune releases, directed by Denis Villeneuve, if I pronounce that correctly, which I'm super excited. Also, we need to watch David Lynch's Dune sometime and just have some drinks and like, let's have that be the first movie night at my place coming up, like where we crack some drinks and watch David Lynch's Dune again and just like be like, what is happening? Like that movie it's like the sci-fi version of The Room. Like, it's just like, what is happening? Anyway, those are the things I've been slurping this past week. Nice. So with that said, let's move into our review of another film that could be very...
The Twisted Twister.
The Twisted Twister. Yeah, Twisted Twister.
The game Twister.
Yes, the movie we're reviewing this week, folks, is called Christmas Twister, also known as F6 Twister. It is an American disaster movie from 2012. It was directed by Peter Sullivan, who also wrote the script together with Hans Wasserberger.
He was a burger.
The film was shown on Teddy 5 on December 21st, 2018. That is a long time from 2012.
Yeah.
Like from when it was made. The plot is as follows. The action takes place on December 22nd, 2 days before Christmas, in the fictional town of Granbury, which is in Texas. A family's problems are reported in history. This is where Ethan, his wife, Addison, and their children, Max and Caitlin, live. Ethan works at a university in Northeast Texas, and his wife is a reporter for a television station. Both argue because Addison has an offer from another broadcaster for which they would have to move away, which would be New York City or somewhere in New York. They just said New York.
Yeah.
While Ethan is working at the university, a hook echo is observed, which could indicate a tornado. Now that Addison is working on television, she is supposed to sound an alarm and thus arrange for an evacuation. But since Ethan has already issued a false positive, this is prevented from the broadcaster's boss. Evidence builds as the tornado is sighted in Stephenville, Texas, and more incidents become known. Finally, a tornado devastates the nearby mall, and Ethan's son, Max, is hit from the ceiling. An alarm goes off at the university, too, as a Category F6 tornado is approaching the power plant. At the same time, there are problems in the TV station due to the storm, so everyone goes to a shelter. A fire breaks out in the basement, in which an employee is staying. Everyone except the station manager and cameraman who filmed the disaster can be saved. Addison decides to continue working with her family in town, and then basically they avoid the tornado. It's basically like they escaped, and then everybody is happy and the marriage is saved.
Yeah.
And the guy who is trying to convince Addison to move to New York gets killed. He's the only guy that gets killed, really, in this a nuclear bomb version of a tornado, as they said it was.
Quick summary. There's a man who looks like he wants to be Kevin Bacon, and he's the only man in the entire town who knows anything about the weather. And so he tells his wife, honey, there's going to be a giant storm. And she tells him, listen, you don't know shit about the weather. You remember that time in Chicago where you fucked us up?
We ain't believing you this time.
He says, I know I made a mistake one time, but this time it's true, and you got to tell people on the air that I'm right this time. And she says, listen, bitch, I'm about to go on the air again, and I got to get off my phone.
Listen to the people who are around me. Hey, we asked them we're gonna do that news thing right now. See, can you listen, Kevin Bacon clone husband? Can you listen to the people that I'm talking to right now?
This sounded just like that.
This is what I have to work with.
The woman who ran the news station just, I know what I'm doing here, and Logan is the smartest meteorologist in our department. So anyways,
such a syrupy, thick Southern accent.
So this goes on, and obviously our fake Kevin Bacon is a little upset that she's not going to tell anybody that a twister is coming. So he goes on trying to fix everything.
He's like, I'm going to go to the mall and pick up my kids.
First he gets Max out of school, and Max is like, Dad, I'm confused. What's going on? He's like, don't worry about it. I'm going to get your sister. And so then he calls his wife again, and she's like, I don't know what all the fuss is about. And he's like, the weather's bad, and you got to stop it. And she's like, well, okay, I guess I believe you this time. And then she tries to stop it. No one's listening to her. She actually tries to make a report. The tornado's actually starting to show up, and shit's hitting the fan. Kevin Bacon, the fake, finally makes it to the mall to pick up his daughter, and it's pretty much a little late because the twisters already hit the mall. And
also all of them running at a light jog away from this like massive tornado. Like they're just kind of like light jogging away, like, oh no, it's gonna get us, it's gonna kill us. It's like,
oh my god,
know that there's a green screen behind you or something. Like, can you at least just pretend that like something's after to kill you and run faster, please?
Also, what about the boyfriend or the guy that Caitlin, the daughter of our wannabe Kevin Bacon, that she wanted to date? The whole mall scene, she's just explaining, I want to date Brian Tollin.
And then he just shows up.
He shows up. He's at the door, like, somebody open the door. Somebody please open the door. He's about to be massacred
why didn't they
by the
open
tornado.
the door?
They just watch, and they're like, who's gonna go open the door? You could have gone and opened that door. You could have went over there and opened it for him.
Her friend's not holding her that hard. Like,
yeah.
And she's just reaching out the whole time.
Yeah, and she's like, no one's gonna help him. And then he just gets taken away, and she's, Brian, no.
Yeah, and then he gets killed. Like, it's like, what? What? I don't understand why you couldn't have pulled the tornado. Obviously wasn't like, if that tornado was strong enough, it could have definitely blown off those locked doors. Those doors look flimsy enough that I don't think that they were airtight, keeping people from getting sucked out.
It doesn't get the doors, but it takes the ceiling off the mall.
Yeah, it takes the ceiling off the wall, or off the top. And when Kevin Bacon clone's daughter was saving another kid or something that was about the same age, like that kid was supposed to be like 17 or something, and she's like hurt, and she's like, help, I'm here. And she's just kind of like lounging, like,
just
I'm over
laying there,
here,
like
near the
legs.
Santa Claus place, like, and she's like, I'm over here, and has her head like just resting on her hand.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Bacon clone daughter comes over, and I think her name's Caitlin.
Yeah.
Caitlin comes over and she helps her out. But the thing is, like, when she's talking to her, she talks to her like she's like 7 years old. She's like, okay, I need you to be brave right now. Okay. I need you to really, think about, what you're going to do. Okay. Is that okay? All right. And it's like, and then she gets up.
My leg hurts.
So then he dodged the thing that was falling, but the thing that ended up falling was a flimsy ass Christmas sign that looked like it weighed 10 pounds.
And it made no noise when it fell too. It was just kind of like,
it was like cardboard or construction paper.
Yeah. And then it just falls down. It's just kind of like a shoebox, basically. Just kind of like,
yeah. It was not deadly at all, and it did not sound, or it wasn't like it fell and it like destroyed everything around it. It's like,
no, I was expecting like some glass noise or something to break.
No, it just kind of fell and just kind of wiggled, and that was it.
It was like a footstep, basically, just ding.
Yeah, and it cut away. So then, Kevin Bacon clone comes and he has his kid, and
Well, the thing is, he shows up and he's like, Caitlin, have you seen my daughter? Have you seen my daughter? Have you seen my dauter? He says it like 20 times. Have you seen my daughter? And one girl literally
who are you? I don't know your daughter.
She was like, no, I haven't seen your daughter. Like walks off.
I don't know you, dude.
Yeah. Walks away. Finally, he finds Caitlin and he's like, oh, I'm so glad you're safe. I'm so glad. So then he walks back to his truck or his car and he notices that Max is gone. So then it's Max, have you seen my son? Have you seen my
short
son?
with red hair. Have you seen my son? He's short with red hair. Have you seen my son? He's short with red hair. Like over and over. And it also made me think like, aren't they afraid of like the tornado that is around still and could still come back? Like the tornadoes, like I'm from Ohio and like growing up, like I was scared to death of tornadoes, like big time. It was vampires and tornadoes. Those are the things that scared the shit out of me.
Things that come in the night.
When I was a little kid. And, like tornadoes kind of like swirl around, they spin, like, woo, and they come back around. And everybody's kind of like, well, okay, it's gone. Okay, breathe, chill out. It's like, no, you guys got to get the fuck out of here. Like, fucking drive to like New Mexico. Get out of here. Like, what are you doing still in this area? And after like he gets a son, what was it? His son also went in to save grandpa or something.
Yeah, not his grandpa, someone else's grandpa.
Someone else's grandpa.
Yeah, because some random girl outside was like, yeah, I wasn't feeling well. I was super cold and he wanted to help my grandpa. So he gave me his sweater. And it's like, well, that's random, but okay.
Yeah, I thought he was dead. I was like, oh no. It's like, this is a lot. We made out. We're both 9 and we made out. And
oh no.
He gave me a sweater and then he got killed by the tornado.
And then she offers the sweater back. She's like, oh, you want this? He's like, no, you take care of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I got this. I'm going to go to my shirtless 9-year-old body to save grandpa. And so he goes in there, finds it's like, I don't know. It's like, is he dead? No. And
Grandpa's
okay.
feeling way better than Max was. He's like, well, he was helping me out and all this stuff fell on him.
Sorry. It's like, aren't you the adult here? Like your grandpa. Like, shouldn't you help him? He's 8 or 9 years old. So
it's like, how are you doing okay? And how did he get covered in all of this?
So Kevin Bacon gets his kids back. And
I wish it was Kevin Bacon. I'm sorry.
Kevin Bacon clone gets his kid back. And then he ends up just driving. No, he ends up saying like, okay, Caitlin's friend drive this. She's like, okay, I'll take little Max kid to grandma's. Yeah. So it takes him to grandma's, and then Caitlin and Kevin Bacon clone they go to the news station where the mom is, Addison.
Yeah.
And they watch the sleazy newscaster guy that's trying to like, pretty much be a homebreaker.
Logan's trying to be the next top thing and win Emmys and cover
he's trying to bone Addison.
The power plant.
Ruin her. Yeah, he's trying to ruin her family and bring her to New York. And he goes there with some news guy, some camera guy, and he's threatening him. He's like, you don't film this, you'll be doing public access shows for the rest of your life or whatever, something. He's just being threatening to him. Yeah, so then they go on the roof and they get like the giant ass tornado behind him. And then the tornado throws a train, like a train car, like right at both of them. And then boom, the camera feeds out. The people in the news station stare at it. Everybody's kind of like, and he's like, cut to commercial. Like one of the guys like, cut to commercial. Just do it.
Addison said that to the guy. Yeah. And then finally, Deb, our great Southern news owning lady, is in a room crying, just like, it's all my fault. I told him to go there and film that. And it's like, well,
I told him to go there.
We don't want to put the blame on you, but yes, it is your fault.
It's my fault. It's my fault.
She didn't say that in the movie. I'm saying that, but they didn't say that.
Yeah, I'm saying it. It was her fault. And she's like, he was still family. And I'm like, what? How? I didn't know. You didn't seem like you guys really knew each other that well at all. Like, why are you crying in the bathroom? Yeah. And she's like, do you think there's any chance that he made it? And Addison's like, nope. Nope. He's dead. you got a fucking train thrown at him. So then they're like, nope, but we got to take care of these other people.
It's just horrible irony, too, because the whole beginning, Addison's like, there's horrible weather and the tornadoes are coming and we can't have our doubts because look at all the evidence. And she's like, no, we need to get our ratings up and we can't have you with these doubts about the weather at all. Like, come on, woman. Like, there shouldn't be any doubt. Like, look at all of the weather.
It's a tornado. It's a twister. It's a twister.
It's a twister.
And it's a Christmas twister. Also, I'm jumping back for about like way before, like right before like the mall got hit. You had the one little Christmas part of it, which was the three carolers.
Oh,
who
yes.
was singing, "We wish you a Merry Christmas." Sorry, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. No, they weren't. They didn't sound Southern. They sounded.
I wish.
They sounded all British.
We got to talk about the couple of
accent.
total side supporting characters that were in this. The one that's driving around randomly in his truck, and then he's got to stop because his truck just kind of goes kaputs on him. So it's like, oh, okay, well, he'll just, start it up by putting some cables together, and then he notices the twister's coming, like, oh, crap, can't start my truck. And then he gets back in it trying to start it up. The truck still doesn't start, so he tries to outrun the twister. Of course, he can't do that, so he gets sucked in.
Yep.
And then we
Flies
got the other supporting characters who are driving around in an RV. It looks like they're in Breaking Bad Part 2.
Yeah, I'm going to get this in HD.
Yeah, I'm going to get this in HD.
We're going to be famous on YouTube.
Okay, I thought that was going to be much more serious than they made it out, though, because he is filming the twister. He is getting camera footage. He's getting a lot of it. And
they watch a fucking train get destroyed.
Yeah. And
they're both like, we're going to make a ton of money on YouTube.
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, they might actually send this to the news station and it might actually blow up to be some kind of hype and it'll prove Addison's point, like, wow, there's a twister coming and like this could actually develop into something in this movie. They never show it. They never show those guys
We
again.
never see those guys again.
No.
Ever. And also at the beginning of the movie, side characters, we have a family. We have who did survive, by the way. They say so. Like at the beginning of the movie, we have like a father and his wife and he's just one kid, and they stopped at this gas station in like an adjacent diner, and they're about to get something to eat, and then a twister shows up, and it's the middle of the night, and it comes, and everybody in the diner and stuff, they all go into a shelter. But then they say later that all those people survived, and we never hear from them again at all.
Yeah.
And it's like,
why are they telling us that they survived? First of all, why do we care if you're not going to show us again? Second of all, how did they survive? They were in a garage right next to a gas station where all of the tanks blew up and were on fire.
Yeah. They said it was just a shed too. It wasn't like it was like an underground like shelter.
Right. So
it was just a
the
shed.
Have gotten sucked up into the tornado, probably.
I would think.
Yeah.
And it's like if they're gonna like as screenwriters. I don't know why I'm critiquing the screenwriting because it's like this is beyond fixing. Like if they decided to leave those beginning characters around, wouldn't it be useful if those same characters, or like just a dad or something, showed up later and be like, I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah,
it's
put him
real.
on the news or something.
Like maybe he
them.
helps out Kevin Bacon clone, and it's like, I saw it. It's real. And he's like, look, this guy's real. He said it's real. He saw it last night. But no, we don't see them again. There's no building blocks. There's nothing to support the next scene. And like you said, the Breaking Bad guys, it's like those guys could have been also the thing that helped Kevin Bacon clone in his prediction, because he's the smart one. But the thing is that even though him and his little employee and his intern, like at wherever they were, the university or whatever, even though they spotted it as like a huge ass tornado and was trying to call the news station and say, hey, we got to evacuate the city, blah, 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 Fort Worth, Texas is going to get hit. They're like, we don't believe you because you do stuff right. Chicago, remember Chicago?
Yeah.
Remember Chicago? Kevin Bacon clone? Yeah, that's why we're not doing it. It's like, okay, fine. I remember Chicago. Like, you have to keep saying it.
Yeah, but me, the viewer, I don't fucking remember Chicago. What's the
I don't remember
connection?
Chicago. As far as I know, this guy's the smartest guy in the whole room. The smartest guy in the whole movie. And it's like, but still, other than picking up his kids, what does his theory even help in this movie at all? Like, how does it help anybody? Because no one believes him.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from this film, though, when you watch it, is that at the surface, it's kind of like, okay, I get it. This movie is about, as the title of the film, you're going into it, that it's called Christmas Twister and or F6 Twister. So clearly the movie is about a twister. It's about a tornado. And if you want to dig a little deeper than that, you're like, okay, it's around Christmas time. Now you want to start learning about the characters. You learn about this Kevin Bacon clone guy, and he's got, personality. And when I first started watching this, I was trying to figure out, what does he do for a living? I saw he was going to a university, and my first impression when he went there was, this looks more like he's going into an office, like he's a cop or he's like in the X-Files or something, because they're all looking at these computers like they're about to solve a mystery, like a crime scene. They're talking about the weather, and I'm thinking, okay, is he supposed to be some primetime meteorologist, or is he involved in crime or something?
He reminded me of Jeff Goldblum in Independence Day. Like Jeff Goldblum, kind of like whatever he did or something. And it's like, okay, this guy like studies the sky. This guy he studies the weather. He's not a meteorologist, but like that's what he studies, and that's, and I don't know, like it, I mean, granted, I know Jeff Goldblum, like also he was like he worked at a TV network, but he also was like this smart dude that like, he was really good with computers, and he was really good with like the weather and all that stuff. That's what I took it as. And also, folks, before I lose this thought, just so you know, if you try to watch this, I watched it on Amazon Prime. It is on Amazon Prime under Christmas Twister, but if you watch the movie, the opening title says F6 Twister. So don't be thrown off by that. You are still watching the same movie.
It'll open up as F6 Twister, and then when you start it, it still says after the opening scene Christmas Twister.
Yep.
So yeah.
And so Kevin Bacon clone, what I'm wondering is did his calculations help anything? Because no one believed him.
My real question is, what is the real purpose of any of these characters? Because they each have personality. They each have, their ups and downs, or maybe, and it's sad I have to say this, but maybe they have their flaws, but it's questionable because I don't think in the writing they really wrote it out that much, because when they introduced Kevin Bacon clone's character, I mean, Casper Van Dien really just looks like Kevin Bacon to me. I can't get over it.
He does, to me, same thing. Yep,
but
same.
When they introduced his character and his wife's character, Addison, it seemed to me immediately like they're talking to each other, and they hyped it up in the scene when they're talking to each other as if their relationship was on the fritz, and it was going to be like, okay, well, maybe Addison's going to talk to somebody else and maybe they're going to break up or something. But then as the movie played out, immediately it's almost like, nope, forget about that, because they both love their family, and Addison really does care about Ethan Walker, the Kevin Bacon clone, and he loves her too, and he loves his kids. So of course they're not going to cheat on each other, and she hates the guy that she works with. So why would you even think that? And I'm thinking to myself, like, that wasn't apparent to me. Like, they didn't make it seem like they loved each other like that. They made it seem like they were going to leave each other. Okay.
Yeah, we had that opening scene. He's like, I'll roast a couple of steaks, get a bottle of wine. She's like, nah.
Yeah, and she made it seem like she's gonna hook up with somebody else. And
yeah, he's like, you gonna hang out with that guy, right? And he started to have a little bit of a Southern accent. He's like, well, he's funny, he's charming. He doesn't have the G at the end of charming.
Yeah,
he just says charming, which that's the way a lot of people in Ohio say stuff like hunting or shopping. He leaves out his G. Some people hit the G's really hard. They say shopping or singing. I used to say stuff like I used to say charming. I used to say shopping. I used to say hunting. But I really worked at myself when I went to school to be an actor. I really focused on like, okay, I need to say it with my G's. I need to say shopping, charming. Anyway, I noticed he left out his G there, which I'm like, are you Southern? Are you from Ohio? He wasn't a bad... Okay, so him and Victoria Pratt, who played Addison, which I'm like, are you related to Chris Pratt? They weren't bad. Like they were okay. They were both okay. They weren't bad.
I mean, the one spot with Victoria Pratt for me was near the end when she was going to save the other girl that she worked with who was pregnant, and when she was in the bottom of the news building and she had to move all that stuff out of the way. That was kind of like, quit pretending that stuff's heavy, because it's not, and you're just kind of like, and it's like this like styrofoam block that she had to move, just kind of like, and it's like, okay, that
wasn't the best physical performance at all. So like I said, they were okay. There was lots of bad acting in this.
Or them in the ending where they're just making out in front of their kids, but
just making out like, and with that suck kiss, like the.
Oh yeah. We know about those. We're called screen slips for a reason.
I hate the sound of those suck kisses. Like I hate them.
We know about slurping
suck kisses, and they're just making out for their kids, and so like there was hokey parts for sure, but like out of compared to the rest of the cast, they were definitely not of the worst, and but regardless, all the acting was not nearly as bad as the special effects, which looked like it was done in After Effects by a freshman in college or something. Like it looked so fucking bad.
I watched this movie thinking, was this like my junior year college assignment? Was this something I had to do sound design for in one of my classes? Like they just give you the film and they're like, we need you to work on this.
It looked like the post-production was done by like an underclassman, lowerclassman film student. It was like if I was like a freshman or sophomore and one of my peers did that, I would have been like, holy shit, that's awesome, But like now I'm like, isn't this supposed to be like kind of a bigger budget movie? Like this looks terrible. Also, I'm wondering about like what was, how like movies usually have like a big climax, especially like a standard like 3-act structure movie.
If you can define any climax from this movie,
there wasn't any. There was just like a couple tornadoes that hit. And it's like, what was the big final thing, though?
That was the thing, though. The end of the movie, it's kind of like you're sitting there like, all right, what's coming up next? What's coming up next? And they're like, the tornado's gone. And you're like, what? That's it?
And they just walk away.
Yeah.
And they just walk away from it. Addison saves that one pregnant lady. And that's it. There's no like big climax.
And then they're roasting weenies in their backyard at a pool slide. So
that's it. There's nothing that it's building to at all. There's just
Casper
like
Van Dien and Victoria Pratt are making out in front of their kids. Like, isn't this nice?
And they see Ashley the dog come back. Like
it's like Homeward Bound.
Yeah. Ashley. Oh, Peter. Oh, I've missed you. Oh, Max. Yeah.
And then the cat runs up.
Yeah.
If only. Why'd they name their dog
Michael
Ashley,
J. Fox is playing the third animal. Yeah. Right then, I knew that this was my home. Woof.
Woof.
Yeah. Let's go into our final slurps, man. It's about that time. Because I want to say what my final verdict is for this is I give a big, giant, stinky, sloppy, disgusting slurps down. This was a piece of garbage. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen, but this, do not waste your time. Do not waste your time. It currently, not that Rotten Tomatoes really matters, but it's just interesting to look what the ratings are on this. It holds a 21% on Rotten Tomatoes out of it's fewer than 50 ratings. It is barely anything to do with Christmas. Oh, by the way, the nativity scene somehow survived everything. I'm pretty sure this was like made towards like waspy Christian people. Like, the one bad guy gets killed, and that way it makes the audience feel like, okay, I don't feel bad about that. And like Jesus survives, the white Jesus cardboard cutout that's on the lawn, so the spirit of Christmas is still around.
Oh my.
and you know, none of the main characters die. No, like literally none of the side characters die. Well, I should take that back. Brian dies, and so did the one guy with the one pickup truck who was alone dies. That's it, right? Just those two guys and the bad guy. The bad newscaster. Just those three.
There's the supporting guy who couldn't start his truck. There's
that guy, pickup truck guy.
Yep. There's
Brian,
Logan,
the boyfriend,
the news guy, and then Brian.
The guy with the camera who is with the news guy. So we have a total death count 4.
Yeah.
Then. Okay, so 4 out of from what they said, an F6 Twister is like a nuclear bomb. So only 4 people died from a nuclear bomb tornado. That's pretty good. that's a win. And also nobody believed Kevin Bacon clone, which it didn't help anything. The whole reason we were watching him, it's like, oh, maybe this is the guy that knows how to beat this thing or knows how to get away from it. This is the guy that's going to save everybody. No, all he does is get his kids and his wife.
Yeah.
All his theories and being a doctor and a PhD have nothing to do with anything because no one's going to believe him because of, remember Chicago? Remember Chicago? We don't believe shit from you because of Chicago. And so this movie, it sucks. It sucks so bad. It's terrible. It's like, who wrote this thing? You know, even if it had a good script, I could have excused the college student After Effects special effects. I would have excused it if it actually had a good story. I would have excused like all the suck kissing. I would have excused that. I would have excused all of the syrupy. Not that there's anything wrong with the Southern accent. It's just a little hard to hear sometimes. I would have been fine with all of that if it would have had a decent story, but it didn't. So I give it a forever and ever slurps down. Adam, what's your final verdict?
Yikes.
Yikes.
Slurps up all the way. No, I'm sorry.
I fucking love it.
Sorry, everybody. That's unfortunately not the case on this one, and I'm gonna have to agree with DJ 100% on this one. I'm gonna have to give this one a slurps down. Sorry to Peter Sullivan, this unfortunately was not the best piece of artwork that I've ever seen to your directorial tips and your writing fingertips, unfortunately.
Rhymes.
Casper Van Dien, the Kevin Bacon clone man that he is, his character Ethan Walker really had great intent in this film with his tips on, should I say meteorology, I guess. He really had some good ideas. He really had some tips, and he really gave us some insight on what a tornado was in the beginning. Something to learn about when you're trying to figure out what's an F1 and an F6. I don't understand, because you got to say it like you're from Texas. And he really spells it out for you, and as the movie progresses, you begin to learn that in the beginning he tries to say in simplest terms that it looks like an F1, and later on it looks like it's an F6. I can't believe it. And even though he tells you that, it really doesn't matter, because he's not doing anything about it, because he can't pick up that tornado with his bare hands and throw it out the window, or take it off of the earth himself. All he can do is drive his car and pick up his children, as Dash was saying.
That's all he does.
That's all he does in this movie. Unfortunately enough, that's all he's doing. And as the news people are saying they're going to do something about this, they don't do anything about it for the first 2/3 of the film. Addison, the character, she's trying to do something about it, and they don't listen to her. She finally goes to do something about it, but by that time, most of them are being hit by the tornado. And even though that all sounds very exciting in theory, it is very unfortunate to say that the screenwriting in this film does not make the characters enjoyable to watch or listen to, because all of their characters fall incredibly flat. And there's no enjoyment in this, where you would watch one movie and really see some depth with some characters, some tightness and development, where maybe there's a relationship and things aren't going so well between the two of them, and you want to see, I wonder how, the protagonist and their supporting character are going to get along in the next scene, or what is it going to take for them to develop a little bit more. Maybe one of them's shy and you want to know how they're going to get over that. You don't get any of that in this film.
Nope.
You don't get any of that. None of it. So these are all questions to think to yourself, when you have a favorite film and you're like, you know what, the protagonist, his character was very confused in the beginning, but by the end of the film, he got over that by becoming a master chess player. And he learned through that confusion is something that you can get over when you tackle your fears. That was a very silly example, but the point being, you get none of that in this movie. You get none of that. There's nothing like that. There's no hurdling over your problems. The only problem in this movie is that there's a twister, and the only thing they hurdle over it with it is that, wow, there's a twister, and I gotta go get my kids.
Yeah, that's the story. That's the story.
And how do they get over that? Is they look out the window and they say, hey, the twister's gone. That's it. So
Merry Christmas.
My final review is a slurps down, and that's all I gotta say about that. Go Texas.
Oh, Texas. You and your twisty movies.
Oh gosh.
Well, you gave us NASA, and gave us Dragon Ball Z import.
Watch out for damn twisters.
Because Funimation's based in Texas. Anyway,
Are they really?
Oh yeah, dude. Funimation, based in Texas. Gen Fukunaga, he is a Japanese-born Texan who started Funimation, who got the import for Dragon Ball Z, which can be credited big time for the current mainstream era of anime that we currently enjoy here in the United States. But yeah, anyway.
Nice.
Thank God for Texas, for Dragon Ball Z,
Hey,
and anime.
Patrick, what am I? Oh, stupid.
I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
No, I'm Texas. What's the difference?
What's the difference? Boy, wowie zowie. I'm so glad we're done with that. Moving on. Thanks, folks, for listening to us rip on Christmas Twister. If you want to check more of our stuff, it's still a little plug time. So we're going to tell you some stuff you can check out besides us talking about movies. Sole plug for me, Dash Garrett, is my Dungeons & Dragons actual play show titled Journey Punks. We stream every Monday on Twitch. Every other Monday is a D&D night, which you can see the campaign episodes. And in between those Mondays, we do something, a companion show called J-Punk Junk, where we either talk about the game or we play games, which is a lot of fun. All those episodes are on Twitch, also on YouTube as well. So please be sure to like and subscribe to that. And if you want to check us out on Twitch for the live streams, you can check us out at twitch.tv/journeypunks. That's twitch.tv/JOURNEYPUNKS. And just so you know, the campaign is set in Eberron, which is an Arcana punk world filled with lots of cool stuff like classic D&D fantasy stuff, but also dinosaurs and time travel. So check us out. And with that said, Adam, what do you have to solo plug, sir?
You can catch me on SoundCloud, Instagram, Twitter at /Adam Meisner. And I'm also on Twitch from time to time at /A Meisner. And yeah, I record music. I record original stuff. I even record covers from time to time. And that's the big stuff right there. You just let me know what you want to hear. If there's anything that you'd like me to record, and I might even just give it a shot. Just let me know.
Nice. Pretty nice. So, with that said, that wraps up for this episode of Screen Slurps. Thanks for listening, everyone. Please be sure to like/follow us on social media. We release new episodes every Monday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and just about everywhere you can find podcasts on the internet. And be sure to follow and subscribe to us on those platforms. And if you like our show, please give us a nice 5-star review in the Apple Podcasts app and recommend us to everyone in your multiverse. It will help the show grow. And stay tuned for our upcoming Patreon page filled with lots of cool benefits. You're gonna love them.
Merchy.
Love them. Oh yes, definitely merch. Gonna be merch. Oh yes, so stay tuned for that. Also, bonus episodes. Heck yeah. Oh yeah, more slurping. That's right. So closing out, this is Dash Gearhart, and with me is
Adam Meisner.
Adam Meisner's the man. Also, Adam edits every episode of Screen Slurp. So give that man a big old high five if he wants to touch your hand and give you a five in public, or give him a mental high five. So with that, have a great night, morning, day, life, and we'll catch you, and slurp ya metaphorically later.